Hey everyone, Lara here from testprepinsight.com, and today I'll be providing a quick review on the Babbel Portuguese course. I recently purchased a subscription and tested out the app for myself. Today I'll cover how the Babbel Portuguese course is structured, what the lessons are like, and of course what I like and what I don't like. I just wanted to mention up front here that since I'll be running through this review quickly and focusing on the major highlights and lowlights in this video, if you find you need more detail at any point, you can always check out our full, detailed written review on our website. An easy way to get there is to just Google Test Prep Insight Babbel Portuguese Review. All right, let's start with a breakdown of how the Babbel Portuguese course is structured and what the lessons are like. Looking at the program from a high level, Babbel splits its curriculum down into about 15 different levels. Some learning levels are focused on certain themes like daily life or meet the neighbors. Each level contains between 2 and 8 courses, each of which has 5 to 15 lessons that take about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. The entire program features about 225 hours of lessons total, meaning you have a ton of material to choose from as you advance in the language. You don't have to follow the lessons in a strict order, and you can move around between courses or levels whenever you like. This flexibility comes in handy if you've been going through one level step by step, but suddenly want to focus on a specific real-life situation. One more thing you should know about the program is that Babbel focuses exclusively on Brazilian Portuguese, not European Portuguese. With that being said, they do a good job of covering regional variations within Brazil, like notes signaling key dialect differences or words that are a bit more region-specific. They keep the grammar instruction fairly light, as you're just reading 1 or 2 sentences before mastering the concept through a series of practice exercises. You're also doing plenty of speech recognition exercises by repeating words and phrases into the mic. Like I said, the lessons are pretty short, and the variety of exercises means they go by really fast because you're not doing the same type of drill on a loop like you do with Rosetta Stone. Honestly, you never get bored during the Babbel lessons, and this fast-paced, blended approach makes the app pretty fun. Next, I know a lot of you are probably wondering, how much does Babbel cost? Plans range from 1 to 12 months, priced at $18 per month retail. However, you can almost always find a Babbel Portuguese discount. For example, we often see the 12-month plan marked down to about $8 per month after discounts. That puts the Babbel Portuguese price in the middle of the pack when compared to competitors. They're a little pricier than Duolingo and LingoPie, but definitely more affordable than Rocket, Pimsleur, and Rosetta Stone. At the end of the day, you're looking at spending about $8 to $15 per month after promotions. Considering how much value Babbel provides, I call them very reasonably priced. One more note on pricing is that Babbel also offers a lifetime subscription with unlimited access to all languages. The lifetime plan is a one-time fee you pay up front, and after discounts, you'll often end up paying as little as $200 to $300. While there isn't a Babbel free trial, they do offer a 20-day money-back guarantee. Also, as mentioned, Babbel does frequently offer deals and special promos, so be sure to check the description down below for coupon codes. I'll drop any current discounts I can find down there for you, and maybe you can save a few dollars if Babbel ends up being a good fit. Okay, so now that we've covered the Babbel Portuguese course overview and pricing, let's talk about what I like and I didn't like, starting with the aspects that I really like about Babbel. First up, the highly engaging and diverse exercises keep lessons fast-moving and just plain fun. I'll admit I get bored easily, so I do best with a program like Babbel, where the lessons are constantly jumping to a new activity. 1 minute you're listening and repeating phrases, and the next you're drilling flashcards or reconstructing sentences. All that variety really forces you to pay attention and actively engage with what you're doing, instead of sort of coasting on autopilot through repetitive exercises. I'll also add that Babbel lessons are quick and easy to complete. Assuming you're typically completing 1 lesson per day, that means you only need 10 to 15 minutes to squeeze in a Portuguese lesson. For people who are tight on time, Babbel is a lot more convenient and accessible than Pimsleur, for example, which requires more like an hour to work through a single lesson. Okay, the second great feature I want to highlight is that Babbel actually makes you review what you've learned. You can even customize how you prefer to review. Choose based on your learning style, listening and speaking for auditory learners, or writing if you're shy about pronunciation like me. Bottom line, the focus on repetition means you're retaining what you've studied previously and making real progress. The next thing I like about Babbel Portuguese is that their doable approach to grammar instruction doesn't make you want to quit. Many language learning apps fall into one of two extremes. Either they completely ignore grammar and leave you unable to piece together sentences on your own, or they drown you in so many rules that you're overwhelmed. The research-backed Babbel method gives you bite-sized grammar snippets to help you understand the essential framework of the language without getting bogged down in too many unnecessary details. Babbel Portuguese does a great job of knowing when to give the occasional hint in English so that you don't get frustrated and keep progressing. Finally, the last big plus is how well the Babbel Portuguese mobile app works. It's super easy to navigate, and the built-in calendar tracker is a nice touch. In 2025, Babbel gave the app a makeover, and now you can access full lessons along with extra resources like Portuguese podcasts, videos, and even the Babbel magazine. Not many language apps offer this mix of multimedia content, which is great for both visual and auditory learners. While it's not meant for hands-free learning like Pimsleur's audio lessons, these features make Babbel feel really modern and gives you a complete, well-rounded mobile learning experience. Okay, that about sums up the pros and favorite Babbel Portuguese, so let's turn to the cons. But before I get to that, I should mention that every single month here at Test Prep Insight, we give away a free language learning subscription to one lucky person. It's super simple to enter, and everyone is eligible. I'll put all the details down below in the description. It'll take you less than 10 seconds, and hey, you never know, you could win a free Babbel subscription. Back to my cons. The main thing I didn't like about Babbel is the lack of focus on speaking skills. Their speaking exercises feel pretty limited. In 2025, they added an AI conversation feature called Babbel Speak for scripted dialogue practice, helpful for beginners but limited for advanced learners. The voice recognition works fairly well, though the feedback can be hit or miss. Other language programs out there, such as Pimsleur and Rocket, provide tons of mock conversations and audio practice, so you're not left coming up with your own speaking practice. Overall, Babbel's lessons and grammar support are great, but if you want to actually hold conversations in Portuguese, you'll probably need to pair it with another app like TalkPal. On to number 2, I would say that Babbel Portuguese isn't ideal for advanced learners. If you already have a strong foundation in Portuguese, or you're a dedicated learner who works through their 225 hours of content, there isn't much available for you to keep advancing towards fluency. The Babbel curriculum is designed to help you feel confident having casual conversations about common everyday scenarios, but they don't prepare you for more complex language tasks like negotiating business deals in Portuguese. Think of Babbel more like a great tool for getting started with the language and progressing to an intermediate level. Next up, Babbel Portuguese no longer offers live classes, which to me is disappointing. Their live class option used to be something that set Babbel apart, as offering a live setting with real instructors and personal interactions provides a totally different approach to learning. I think live classes are great for building confidence, getting personalized feedback, and simply connecting with classmates so you're getting more of a social learning experience. But that's no longer an option with Babbel Portuguese. Finally, the last downside to Babbel is that they only offer Brazilian Portuguese. This simply means they're a great resource for anyone interested in Brazilian Portuguese, but they're not the right option if, for example, you're preparing for a trip to Portugal. Brazilian and European Portuguese have quite different vocabulary, pronunciation, and cultural context, so keep that in mind. All right, that about wraps up this Babbel Portuguese review. Overall, I was really impressed with Babbel's Portuguese program. I love their fun, varied drills, fast-paced lessons, and quick review sessions that make learning feel manageable. I also appreciate the English instructions and translations, along with bite-sized grammar tips woven into a well-structured, smart course. Sure, there are a few minor drawbacks like limited speaking practice and the omission of European Portuguese, but overall, Babbel is a solid choice. They are definitely one of the more affordable options out there. So who is Babbel Portuguese really best for? It's exceptional for travelers headed to or people moving to Brazil or students taking formal Portuguese classes who want extra practice. If you want real grammar lessons, instead of just picking things up along the way, this is a strong fit. It's also ideal if you like variety, mixing drills with videos and podcasts instead of just sticking to one format. And if your schedule is tight, the short 10 to 15 minute lessons make it really easy to keep up. All in all, I give Babbel high marks and wouldn't hesitate to recommend it for learning Portuguese. So that's all I've got for you today. Make sure to subscribe, like, and drop a comment with any questions you have about Babbel Portuguese or your experiences with Babbel or another language learning app. Finally, remember to check out our website at testprepinsight.com and the rest of our YouTube channel for more language learning reviews and comparisons. Good luck on your language learning journey, and we'll see you next time. Ciao!